Thank you all so much for being here. Jason, starting with you. In a world with a lot of conflicting ideas, where do you make sense of where we are on the energy transition?
Well, I think in a place like Climate Week, it's sometimes hard for people to kind of appreciate that two things can both be true at the same time. We've made staggering progress, thanks to companies like Sumant's, in the cost declines we've seen in clean energy, the pace of deployment of clean energy. We saw global spending on clean energy twice what it was on fossil fuels last year. And despite all of that progress, oil use is going up and gas use is going up and even coal use has been going up and emissions are going up. So the scale of the energy system is just so massive, particularly to meet global demand growth, particularly emerging and developing economies see higher rates of economic growth and use more energy, which gives them prosperity and makes their lives better. We need to move much faster to deploy clean energy at the scale and speed that would not only meet the growth in global demand, but would start to displace the amount of energy that comes from fossil fuels today to bring emissions down much faster.
And Maurice, where do you see the major trends emerging on the energy transition?
So I think we've seen in the past 24 to 36 months a lot changing geopolitically and for each company's calculations of where and how they should be investing. We've seen fragmenting global supply chains. We've seen more of a focus on energy security and challenges on affordability. We've seen energy demand on the electricity side enter a super cycle, particularly through data centers and AI. And all of that pushes us to a bit of a new reality. And so there's a few things we're saying that companies need to think about. First of all, where they invest, really doubling down on technologies that are in the money already, and that can cover probably 65% of emissions. Two is what we build, doing it faster, getting permitting and planning cycles down and getting more out of our existing grids. We see the potential to get 35 to 45% more without laying more steel or more cable. And finally, thinking about the public and really making it worth their while, because they have an important role to play. They can change behaviors, they can talk about when and how they consume, but we got to make it worth their while. So that's really what we're focusing on, and I think that's what we need to see happening more.
And Sumant, this question is for you. Looking at high growth markets, where do you see the most opportunities?
Well, what's happening in markets like India and other high growth markets in the global south, where energy demand is growing at 5 or 6% a year. The question for us really is, how do we build the energy system of the future? And there are two really stark choices available to us. One is to go with legacy systems, and the other is to really double down on the clean energy transition and build more and more renewable energy capacity and use that really to meet our demand growth. And that's the direction I think that most of the world is now traveling in. So you see solar prices have come down, wind prices have come down, battery prices have come down, and that is making all sorts of new electricity and energy much, much cheaper than it used to be. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to take the revolution that is happening on the electricity side into the rest of the energy sector, into the hard-to-abate industries like transportation, steel, cement, those kinds of things. And those solutions are also now becoming available. And as those become available, you can start seeing this energy transition have much deeper and longer legs out for the next 2 or 3 decades, if anything. And so I'm actually very optimistic about the clean energy transition, especially in countries that still have to build most of their energy infrastructure.